section looks like today we're analyzing a political cartoon.
Love him.
Love them.
Love 'em.
You want to start with observations, or do we have any?
Well, first we gotta give a shout out to the great Thomas Ness.
Of course,
I
this is
mean,
one of his.
He is there are like a Mount Rushmore of political cartoons. He's actually above the Mount Rushmore. He like stands alone when it comes to political cartoons.
And this isn't even the one that put him on the map.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not.
he's known more for his William Tweed,
Yes.
Boss Tweed political cartoons. But of course, when you're looking at political cartoons, the political cartoonist is definitely putting his opinion in there,
Mhm.
which is something we're going to talk about.
And
when it comes
what's
to
great
point of
about
view.
cartoons too, it's like you get a point across
Yeah.
with very few words.
Yes.
1800s. Not a lot of Americans are educated, well
Right.
educated,
No, exactly.
above maybe a 5th or 6th grade level. But you can certainly read and look at it and understand
A
pictures.
picture or an image is worth 1,000 words, and even Boss Tweed was trying to pay him off to go, hey,
Yep.
you need to stop this because, hey, my voters, they
They
can't
can't stop
read,
looking
but
at
they,
those
can, but they
pictures.
see. So now when we're looking at this cartoon,
All right, it's 1869.
it's 1869.
Let's think about what's going on in America in 1869.
Well, the Transcontinental Railroad was just finished being built.
Okay.
Okay,
Civil War is about 5 years from being over.
Yep.
Gold Rush has been going on for
Yep.
well over 20 years now.
If you want to use a date, you have 1849
Yeah.
as well.
20 years. No, this is 20 years. The Gold Rush is going on. Tens of thousands of Chinese immigrants came to America seeking to get rich.
Right.
Off of the Gold Rush.
And they weren't the only group.
No.
This just happens to be the focus of this particular group here. So,
Many of them wind up staying.
Yep.
And then when the railroad's being built, the Pacific Railway Act, signed by the great Abraham Lincoln, a lot of the white workers couldn't get the job done.
Nope.
Especially on the western portion of the Transcontinental Railroad.
All right, so with all that said, all right, if I'm making some observations, it looks like I have a Chinese immigrant, and the way he's being drawn, of course, here, they're playing on common stereotypes.
Yep.
With the baggier clothing.
The less than human-like features.
Yep. The longer ponytail, and this is a male, which was the style for them.
Called the Q
Right.
from Manchuria.
The hat.
Yep.
And of course with the shoes that slide on.
Okay.
And he's over on your side.
We've got an angry man. You can tell anger in his face.
Mm-hmm.
California written on his hat. He's got a flog, a cat and nine tails flog. In the back house, courthouse of justice, closed to Chinese, extra taxes to the yellow jack. So there again, using color as a stereotypical, the Chinese were the yellow man.
And of course, we have something here that might indicate region when we're talking about Pacific chivalry, encouragement to Chinese immigration.
Yeah.
So,
Why would he draw this?
gosh, I mean, you definitely probably, if you're Thomas Nast, I'm thinking he feels bad for him.
Yeah, he does.
He really does, because something that was indicated quite often in James Bradley's book when it came to the West being, people moving west, the Chinese were treated harshly.
Awful.
They had to pay a lot of taxes. They had to pay school tax, even though the children really weren't going there. They had to pay taxes to work on the tailings pile at a gold mining site. And the tailings pile, by the way, is all the waste dirt that has already been sifted through.
And they still found it.
And they still found it.
They were that hardworking.
And despite all the things that were going on there, I mean, when you look at the fact you're talking about westward expansion, people moving out west, these are tent cities, you're getting into this boomtown era where a lot of people were not surviving and thriving out there. You had to boil your water. I mean, to give you an idea of just how dangerous it was. There wasn't a lot to go around. There was a lot of money, wasn't a lot of abundance of resources. However, the Chinese immigrant worker was succeeding.
Yeah, and the Chinese were arguably the most discriminated against immigrant group coming to this country.
Absolutely.
They looked different.
Yep.
They dressed different. They had different religions. They spoke a different language. Where every other immigrant group had at least one box that they could check off,
Yep.
that the WASP, the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant American, the nativists as we refer to them as, would welcome about them. Nast himself, this Harper's Weekly, published in the Northeast, probably letting Americans know what's going on out west.
Right.
Because again, no TikTok,
No.
no Snapchat, no
Definitely
YouTube, and his cartoons were a way of informing a great percentage of the population of this country, hey, look at what we're doing to these Chinese immigrants out west.
And a lot of these Chinese immigrants, we're talking about the West Coast here, so you get
Yep.
Pacific right there, where they immigrated from China. Of course, it was easier to settle on the West Coast of the United States versus the East Coast, where you had the Irish immigrants and European immigrants who were settling on the East Coast. Of course, we can see in there You have the railroad tracks indicating that they were working on
Yep.
the railroad, that they helped to build the transcontinental railroad. And
They
then
didn't. They basically did.
yeah,
You
and
know,
that
it's-
famous photo
Yep.
where the two lines were meeting, you know, they were kind of excluded
Yep.
from that photo, and historians bring that up.
Ironically enough, the Chinese exclusion photo, or
Right.
the Chinese Exclusion Act is going to come around. In the
So now this is
1880s.
1869, and 1882, you're gonna get the Chinese Exclusion Act. So like, and that tells you something else too. You know, 1869, now it's showing you, hey, in 1882, this hate and dislike and discrimination has been going on for a while.
You know, it just dawned on me. I'm just looking like
Yeah.
defenseless,
Yes.
you know, weaponless. He's got the flog. That's a pistol.
Yep.
I'm assuming this is a dagger.
Yep.
Or maybe, I can't tell if it's a dagger or if it's like the waistband of his belt. But you know, like obviously sympathizing for the Chinese Airlines.
Point of view, if we're looking, why would Thomas Nast maybe sympathize with the Chinese?
I mean, he himself was an immigrant.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, so he's gonna
Yeah.
have that sympathy for him because I'm sure when he came to America, he was being discriminated against in some way, shape, or form.
Sure. Absolutely. All right.
All right.
Anything else we have on this?
I think it's pretty darn good.
I mean, there are thousands of anti-Chinese political cartoons out there, which is pretty awful.
Yep.
All right, great. Well, thank you for watching.